John Hancock Tower, which I will point out a little bit later in the trip. And the Customs Tower is the 17th tallest building in Boston. We did just leave from Long Wharf. And Long Wharf used to extend another 800 feet inland. The entire harbor used to extend another 800 feet inland. And it was almost half a mile in length during colonial times. It was very important to the economy of colonial America because of the volume of goods that went through Long Wharf on a daily basis. There was the import taxes on these goods that funded the federal government before our modern day income taxes were in place. Now these taxes were collected by the customs officers who lived in the customs house. That's how this all ties in together. They were known to pocket quite a bit of that money. Now over at 3 o'clock you can see a red rusty bridge there. That is the Northern Avenue Swing Bridge designed by MIT students. It connects Boston on the right with South Boston to the left of the bridge. The building on the right of the bridge is built on what was Griffin's Wharf. And that is where the Boston Tea Party happened. But a bunch of colonists dressed up as Native Americans boarded 3 East Indian trading ships, and they took all the tea that was on board those ships, poured it over their sides, and ruined approximately $1,400,000 worth of British tea that evening. Now they did this to protest against the tea tax that the British would not lift. You can recall the slogan, "No taxation without representation." This is what they were protesting. And as you can imagine, the British were not happy, and this is ultimately what sparked the Revolutionary War.
That's a funny looking boat over there.
The land to the right and left of us right now is all landfill, so it used to be water on either side of us. On the left we have East Boston, and on the right we have the Seaport District of South Boston. It is the last part of the waterfront here to be developed, so many of these buildings over here have gone up within the past 10 to 15 years. As you can see, we still have buildings going up, and they will continue to go up. This is a Vertex building, which is a pharmaceutical company based out of Cambridge. To the right of that, you can see that brick building with those beautiful large glass windows. That is the John Moakley Courthouse. It's built in 1999, and the architect who designed it won an award for the design, which is supposed to be symbolic of the openness of our judicial system. Now over at 3 o'clock behind the Salem Ferry, you can see the glass building that overhangs the harbor. That is the Institute of Contemporary Art, known as the ICA here in Boston. Moved over to the waterfront from the back bay where it was in an old fire station about 8 years ago. After the move, the annual visitors spiked from approximately 17,000 to being the second most visited museum in all of New England. So it did a really great thing for the museum. And if you want to go over there, best time to go is after 5 o'clock on Thursdays when you have free admission. And they will also have outdoor concerts on the steps in front of the museum at 6 o'clock on Thursdays for free until the end of August. So there might be the last one coming up quite soon. Now in front of the ICA, so between us and the ICA, you can see an old pier. That is Anthony's Pier 4. It used to be the pop-in place to be. JFK actually had a private booth there. The Rat Pack used to go there. But it has deteriorated quite a lot. And now his children have taken over, and they're actually going to be building condominiums there. But they're opening up a new restaurant a little bit inland in the Seaport District. that pier that also looks older, a little bit like Anthony's, not as old, but these are the two older buildings over here. This is Boston's Fish Pier. It was built in 1914, and it used to be a very, very busy pier, home to approximately 200 fishing fleets. Unfortunately, due to overfishing and other factors, many of those fleets have gone out of business, moved north to Gloucester or south to New Bedford. They used to have a fish auction there every morning. They will have it on select weekdays, but I'm told that a lot of the fish that they sell there is brought in from Canada by truck. So that kind of negates the purpose of it. Please hold on, folks. So the white tent-like structure just past 3 o'clock is Boston's Bank of America Pavilion. So that's where you can see outdoor concerts in the summertime here in Boston. And next to that, at exactly 3 o'clock, you see these angular pointed structures that stick up to the right. And we have the same ones on the left side across the harbor at about 8:30. Have you heard of the big dig that's happened here in Boston about 10 years ago? It was the biggest dig project in the history of the United States. And that central artery tunnel that they were digging out goes right underneath us here. And those structures on either side of us provide ventilation and oxygen to that tunnel, which is called the Ted Williams Tunnel, after the famous Red Sox player. This beautiful ship over here on the left is the Roseway. It's unusual with red sails and a black hull, a blue hull. It's very strange, but the beautiful ship. It was built in 1925 in Essex, Massachusetts. And it was initially built to be a Canadian sailing vessel for sailing races, which were popular apparently in the 20s. Didn't know that. I just learned about this when I did some research on the ship. And she was the second to last tall ship used as a piloting ship. And it was used right here in Boston as she did her duties. She won an award for continuing her duties during the Cold War when there were mines out here in a big net outside the harbor. And now she's owned by World Ocean School, I believe, as a sailing and research vessel. So on the left we have Boston Logan International Airport. As you just saw a plane take off there. Difficult to miss. There used to be 3 islands over here. Bird Island, Governor's Island, and Apple Island. They leveled those islands off, added landfill, so they did to a lot of places here in Boston, as you learned, and built Logan Airport upon it. There are 5 terminals over here, 6 runways, and the plane lands or takes off on average every 90 seconds. Depending on what runway you take off or land on, sometimes it looks like you're going to land right in the water, but you land hopefully on the land. I guess that's why they call it land. I never even thought about that. On the right is Connolly Container Terminal. We don't have a container ship in right now, but if you look across from Connolly Container Terminal, you will see Black Falcon Cruise Terminal. So at 4:30, we actually have a cruise ship in right now. This is one of the smallest cruise ships that we have pull into Black Falcon Cruise Terminal. To give you a sense for how big they are, they're coming here. So they come in, and these boxes here are filled with imports from all across the globe. And they are taken off the ships by those structures and then moved inland and then sent on the back of trucks, which take those boxes to wherever they need to go in the United States. Sorry. So on the right here, we have Fort Independence on Castle Island. Now Castle Island is no longer an island. It's connected now to Boston, South Boston by a spit of land. But Castle Island is the oldest continually fortified piece of land in all of North America. The first fort to be built out here was an old wooden fort
out here.
in 1634.
Don't let your head go away.
I won't.
Turn it backwards. There you go. Hold on.
Okay.
for miles away. They smelled terrible. And the reason why this one was here is because it was moved from Quincy after the complaints of the residents there. So it wouldn't bother anyone out in the harbor. That was shut down eventually, but in the 20s, the city decided to use the island as a dumping site. They dumped tons and tons of stuff out here, trash, whatever they wanted, until it was eventually rendered as uninhabitable. During the Big Dig, which I spoke about earlier, the city decided to use that as an opportunity to barge clean landfill out here, and they cleaned up the island and put the landfill on top of whatever they had dumped here. After cleaning, of course, I'm sure they had to do some like chemical, crazy gas, something out here. I don't know exactly how it works, but after all of that, the island gained over 30 acres. So before it was true drublands connected by a spit of land, and that's why it was called Spectacle Island. It looks like a pair of glasses, spectacles. But after all that landmass was added, it doesn't look quite like spectacles anymore. I do want to ask everyone to remain seated until we are ready to disembark.